All right, welcome to the channel. Today we've got a little bit of a different video. It's about Mark Carney. Usually we're talking about debt, finances, but this really has to do with that as well. If Mark Carney is Prime Minister, we will all have a lot less money, a lot more debt. He's going to destroy Canada. All right, before we get into the video, if you could, hit that like button. Please consider subscribing. Let's get right into it.
Just came in, but goddamn, I was going to make sure. Listen, it's fantastic to see everyone. Now, I got a couple of quick questions. Who's ready?
Why are they cheering? He hasn't even said anything yet. He is not. Are you ready? He's not a UFC announcer. I remember back when I was a kid, they used to tell us to put on our thinking cap. These people should forget the cap and get a helmet.
Yeah, I got three questions now. The first one is who's ready? I mean, you guys are ready for anything. Who's ready to stand up for Canada?
The Liberal government has already shown us that they do not care about Canada. They do not care about Canadians. They only care about their woke agenda.
Who is ready to help make sure the Liberal Party wins this crucial general election?
Are you going to help me and my friends make more money?
Only a month ago tomorrow, I put my hand up to run for the leadership, launched a campaign back in Edmonton, and I did so because at the time, in the run-up to the weeks in the run-up, I felt that our country needed some big changes in order to get back on track and to make Canada work for all Canadians.
Canada does definitely need change, but it's not going to be another Liberal. Replacing Carney for Trudeau, it's going to be worse. Trudeau didn't actually do anything and caused all this trouble. Mark Carney is just going to destroy Canada. Look at his past.
Thank you. And since then, I've had the privilege, and it really is a privilege, to crisscross this country, meet with Canadians. It's been validated, those concerns. I've seen, how anxious people are, how tough things have been. I knew it, I knew the numbers, but you got to talk to people to really feel it.
Does anybody really believe he can feel it? He can feel how bad Canadians are doing? There was a recent picture online where he's pretending to be a goalie, playing hockey, and he's wearing $2,000 shoes. I don't think he knows anything about how people are feeling.
And people have been hit by the cost of living crisis, concerns about housing running away from younger Canadians, you know it here in Kelowna, worried about their future of our children, future in a world that, before all this nonsense from south of the border, before all of this, a world that's more divided and dangerous, and a world in which we've got huge technological changes that are going to change all our lives. We need to make sure they change for the better that are coming on us. So I put my hand up, somewhat nervous.
Why are these people laughing? I just don't get it. As soon as he makes a little smiley face, they all just crack up, and nothing he's saying is funny.
Yeah, because I think I'm going to still say this for the first time. I am not a politician. I'm not a politician. Yeah, I'm not a politician. I've never been a politician. But I've always been a pragmatist. And so when I see something that's not working, I try to change it.
And how did that work out for the Bank of England? If you don't know, try Googling that.
And I'm going to start with an example of that, which is the consumer carbon tax. Good idea on paper.
That comment right there should be enough to make you not vote for him. The carbon tax is a good idea on paper. It's a horrible idea on paper. It's a horrible idea overall. Tax people only to give most of the money back. For what reason? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't help with climate change.
Put into action with the best intentions, but something that's become very divisive in our country. Very divisive. And if people don't buy into a policy or change, doesn't matter how good it is, it's not right. So the issue wasn't to coin a phrase, whether to axe the tax. The issue was how to change it.
Change the tax so that we have less money and he has more. That's all they want to do.
How to change it in all its respects. Because the easiest thing is just to literally axe the tax. But if you axe the tax, well, first, our emissions aren't going to go down, and maybe you don't care. Maybe you don't believe in climate change. Oh yeah. Maybe you think for the first time in Canada's history, we're not going to pull our weight in a big global problem.
Yeah, it blows my mind that this is the kind of stuff that they always talk about. There are much bigger things to deal with, like the housing crisis, the cost of food, homelessness in Canada. Climate change should be on the bottom of the list, not the top.
It's not the Canada I know, but maybe that's the Canada somebody's trying to create. It's not right, but people try.
The Canada he knows. Well, Carney left Canada in 2013 to go to England. He only recently came back in 2020, so he doesn't know anything about Canada.
Maybe you don't recognize that the average family, not here in BC where you get, but the average family across Canada gets $700 more back in the rebate than they pay in the tax.
So why are they taking it in the first place? It doesn't make any sense to take it only to give it back. It's ridiculous.
Okay, yeah, I know, but across the country, elsewhere.
He forgot or didn't know BC residents don't get the carbon tax rebate. This guy is not smart enough to be the prime minister.
In the country. And particularly in places, rural communities, other where it really matters. So you don't care about that, and you don't think our businesses need to get their emissions down. So in changing the carbon tax, what we put out 10 days or so ago, 2 weeks ago, we addressed all those things. We're getting rid of the consumer carbon tax, we're getting rid of the carbon tax on small businesses, we're getting rid of the carbon tax on farms. We're making the large companies pay for everybody, including here in Kelowna, across BC. If you want,
that would be great if it was true, but who actually thinks that a big company is just going to take that tax cut or take that and pay that tax? It's not going to happen. They'll pay it, but they're going to pass down that to the consumer, which means we are going to be paying it. I can't believe people are actually falling for this.
And it's your choice. It's your choice, but if you want to insulate your home, if you want a lower emission vehicle, if you want to do something that helps reduce emissions, you're going to get a big rebate from the federal government, but the taxpayer is not going to pay. The taxpayer is not going to pay. Our companies, our largest companies, are going to pay. And it's better for them because in some cases it's better for them to pay you to do that than for them to try to retool a big factory or something like that. So it's all of Canada working in the right direction. That's an example of the kind of change we want. We want the right kind of change that puts more money in people's pockets.
So he thinks these big CFOs or CEOs, they're just gonna, give up their pay, give up their profit, maybe give up their bonuses, just to help the people of Canada. Because they care about us so much. They care about you, they care about me. I don't believe it. It's never gonna happen.
Change that make our companies more competitive and change that builds the strongest economy in the G7, the big economies. Okay. Now, I am here, and when I think about it, I'm here in part because whether by accident or design, virtually everything in my life has prepared me for this moment.
All the destruction he's caused, all the bad choices he's made all over the world has prepared him to make Canada better. That's what he's telling us right here.
There's a lot of accident in that. And a lot of wisdom, by the way, as you know, a lot of wisdom comes from making mistakes. I've made lots of mistakes, so I got a lot of wisdom.
He makes a lot of mistakes. If you take anything from this video, take that. He makes a lot of mistakes. He is Trudeau 2.0.
But, I grew up, as I said, I grew up on the prairies, same values as yours. Values of hard work, community. Came from Saskatoon. This morning's minus 32. If you don't believe in community, you're in big trouble. Tolerance and ambition. Ambition for a better future for our community, for our children, and going forward.
I hate seen him try to bring himself down to the level of a working, normal, everyday Canadian. He's not. Doesn't know anything about people. He wasn't even living in Canada until 2020. This guy's so messed up.
I was sent away by my province to university, our country, for more university. I worked in and around the world, and I worked both in the public sector because I feel a great responsibility to give back for all I received, but also in the private sector. Spent a lot of time in the private sector. And this is where the accidents come in. It's not my fault, but I worked on managing a number of crises around the world and also building strong economies. And in all those experiences...
Again, look at what he did to England. I mean, the guy should not be able to even be in Canada, let alone run for prime minister.
I've taken really 3 lessons. The first is never forget where you're from and never forget the values that you were given by your parents and your community. The second is that in a crisis, plan beats no plan. You have to have a plan. It gives everybody a focus, it gives discipline, it gives energy. We have a plan for Canada which is going to deliver the strongest economy and is going to ride out the Americans.
The Liberals had a plan. They had a plan for the last 9 years. It hasn't worked out. It's been so destructive. Nothing has gone well. We're in a worse position than we ever could be in. And nothing will change if he becomes prime minister. Things will get worse.
Until they come back to work. The other thing I learned over the years, it took me a while to really grasp this, but I am a huge fan of markets in the private sector and delivery. But in the end, markets don't have values. People do. Yeah. And it's our job, often in government, is to make sure that those markets are directed to deliver for people. Now, not everyone gets that. And my opponent, I've seen this type of politician before around the world. Lifelong politicians. There's no bigger believer in the market than a lifelong politician who's never worked in the market, never made a paycheck, never earned it. So the answer to every problem is to cut, destroy, reduce.
He's completely wrong. The only thing that they can do is scrap that tax. It's the only way it's going to get food on people's plates, people into housing, and hopefully one day people being able to retire. Taxing people is not going to work.
The Americans, I'm trying to rationalize for a moment what's happening with them. It's not easy. I understand your point. But part of the reaction there is because they lost their way. They forgot about the middle class. They forgot about the big hits to the middle class and the squeezes on the middle class in America. They have also let the tech giants and others run people's lives. Now they're letting them run the government. Sure. Yeah.
That's an absolutely ridiculous statement, poking at Trump and Elon Musk. It's not going to work out too well for him. Elon Musk does not run the government. He is running the Department of Government Efficiency. He's auditing the government. And he's found actual just insane things the government is spending money on. It's a great thing he's doing. Mark Carney just wants to poke at Trump. All the Liberals seem to want to do that, and it's not going to work out too well for them. Trump will win. He likes to win. He's going to win. This is not helping the situation out in any way.
Run the government. Okay. Look, there's a lot at stake right now, but a lot of it is economic, and I'm going to come to an economic response in a second. But part of it is about what they want. They want our resources.
Of course they want our resources, and they're going to have them. Make a deal with Trump. Make Canada extremely filthy rich through that deal. What's so difficult about this?
They want our water. They want our land. They would destroy our way of life. Let's just think about this for a moment. I'll look around this room. Canada is a mosaic, right? We're all Canadians here, but we all have different identities that we share and we celebrate. America's a melting pot. You go there, become American, move into becoming American. It's a different way of doing things, it's not our way of doing things.
We definitely do things differently, but to say we're doing things better or our way works, our way doesn't work. Not at all.
You know, in America, there are no First Nations. In America, there would never be French language right. Jamais les droits de langue en français. Personne ne le parle. Be New Orleans. Be Louisiana, pas Quebec. In America, healthcare is a big business, it's not a right. In America, the social safety net has gaping holes in it through which tens of millions of people fall every year.
It's not right. Acting like we have free healthcare, we don't. We pay for it through our taxes. We're taxed insane amounts to pay for that for bad service. And from what I understand, Americans can get health coverage. They'll get better service than us. All they have to do is pay for it. If not, yes, they will fall through the cracks.
America is not Canada. And Canada will never, ever be part of America in any way, shape, or form.
Just a complete idiotic statement there. Canada will never. The United States can do whatever they want, whenever they want, and there's nothing we can do about it. Should Canada be part of the United States? I don't think so. Canada's great, or can be great, once we get rid of the Liberals. But anytime they want, they can just take Canada and do whatever they want with us.
The question is, what do we do in the situation we are now? If plan beats no plan, what should we do? And so I'm going to talk about some of the economic things and then I'll finish. And the first thing in my experience in a crisis is you've got to recognize what you can change, what you can influence, what you can't change. And what we can't change, and this is the same thing as the 2008 financial crisis, it came from abroad, we can't change the forces outside this country. Okay? Can we influence Trump? A bit. A bit. And then we got to pretend we didn't.
I mean, this guy clearly isn't too bright. He didn't learn from Trudeau's mistakes. Poking at Trump is not going to go well. Trudeau did it multiple times, and look how he's getting treated now. If Carney had a brain cell, he would not be making comments like this on tape. Just ridiculous. But
we've got to respect, part of it, we got to respect, look, fentanyl is an absolute crisis in the United States. It's a challenge here, but it's a crisis there. And us doing what we can to help them with that is absolutely appropriate. And of course, securing our borders is in our interest as much as it is in their interest.
Why did it take so many years for them to just figure this out? It doesn't make any sense. Everyone knew this. People were telling them that. Until Trump threatens them, that's when it's time to change.
What we can change, what we must change, is to be masters in our own house in absolute control of our economic destiny. Il faut être maître chez nous. Il faut contrôler notre destin économique. So how do we do that? And I'm going to raise 5 things that we're proposing. And the first is to make sure that the government works for you.
Does anybody actually believe that a liberal government will work for you? Please let me know in the comments.
The government's focused on outcomes, not money going in. We need a government that spends less, but gets the country to invest more. So my government will balance the spending budget within the first 3 years. Absolutely. The second thing we need to do is make sure that you can keep more of your hard-earned money.
So that's the second thing on his list. It should be the first. That should be the most important thing, is putting money in our pockets, letting us keep our own money. Not second, first.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's your money. You don't have to thank us. It's the other way around. And that attitude that it's your money, not the government's money, is essential when people are sitting around those tables in Ottawa. So my government will deliver a middle-class tax cut as well. us as young Canadians here, we recognize just how hard the last 5 years have been, knocked sideways by the pandemic.
I keep waiting for a comment about immigration, but not hearing anything. I mean, immigration has caused our housing prices and rent to just go up and up and up, and not a word from him about it. I wouldn't be voting for this guy.
A housing market running away, lost education, lost job opportunities. It doesn't do any good. Look, it's better than the alternative to say inflation is now back at target, but the level of prices aren't. We've got to get the incomes of young people up. We've got to give them a boost, and we will deliver a direct boost to the incomes of young Canadians so that they can catch up. And we will do major changes in the housing market so they can also catch up there. The third thing we have to do, and this goes directly against the pressure we will get from the United States, whatever they do, is build. Build, baby, build. They are going to drill, we're going to build. Some of what we build is going to help with our drilling, to be clear. Some of it's going to be energy infrastructure. Some of it's going to be clean energy. Some of it's going to be trade corridor. A lot of it is going to be housing, the 3 or 4 million new homes that we need across this country.
They will never be able to have enough housing to keep up with the rate of the amount of people they are bringing into the country. They'll never keep up. That is impossible.
And something that my government is going to do is to use all of the powers of the federal government, including the emergency powers of the federal government, to accelerate the major projects that we need in order to build this economy.
You heard it there. He's going to do exactly what Trudeau did, emergency powers. And he's telling you, he's going to take those powers and he's going to do whatever he wants, and we're going to be right back to the same BS, worse than Trudeau. I can't believe he actually said that.
And take on the Americans. I'm going to say one other thing. I'll say one other thing about the Americans here.
Take on the Americans. It's not a competition. Trump is a deal maker. He wants to win. That's all you have to do. Make a deal. We have all the resources he needs and wants. Make a deal. Make Canada rich. Make America rich. Everyone's happy. What's the issue here?
There's a fever raging south of the border. It's true. It's going to pass in time, but we should take advantage of it. We have an opportunity to leapfrog the Americans, and we're going to take it. Take it. And then all will be forgiven. We'll come back. Okay. Two other big things we're going to do. We're going to have one economy in this country, not 13.
Carney, Trudeau, all the Liberals, they take exactly what Pierre Poilievre says, and now it's theirs. And people are falling for it.
Within the first few weeks of my government, my former government, we'll convene federal, provincial first ministers, the premiers, and the prime minister, in order to identify those big projects that are national priorities, in order to sweep away the barriers that are preventing the good products of Kelowna and surrounding regions. I mean, in theory, I'm not even allowed to take it back on the plane. It's no way. I could drink it all here. It's going to be a hell of a speech tonight. And then the last thing we're going to do, by no means the smallest, is we're going to stop having all our eggs in one basket internationally on trade. There are a lot of like-minded countries around the world. You know, a lot of like-minded countries around the world who want to trade with us. We have what they want, and we're going to use it to our maximum benefit.
Why was this not being done all along? And can you actually trust this man, knowing his past, to carry this out? You can't.
Okay. Now, let me finish up. And I just want to underscore, so a lot of what I've talked about has to do with the economy, rightly so. It's part of why I put my hand up, and initially it's the challenges we have from the Americans that have made it more acute. But I just want to reflect for a minute why we care about the economy and why so many of you donate your time, some money, to the political process, to your communities, Why do we care about the economy? Of course we care about good jobs for people in this room, your children, grandchildren. We care about that. But we recognize that, look, we care about the vulnerable in society. And we know that we can't redistribute what we don't have. We know we can't be strong abroad if we're weak at home. We know we can't build the future if we can't manage the present. So we care about a strong economy, and we're going to build a strong economy so we can have a great healthcare system. We can have the resources for our healthcare system. We don't have a good enough healthcare system right now. I know it's a provincial responsibility.
We have a government that completely wastes our money on foreign aid and immigration. They take our money and do what they want with it.
But part of our responsibility in the federal government is to make sure that this economy is stronger than ever so the province can do what it needs to do. We care about a strong economy because we care about our social programs, including pensions through Canada Pension Plan and the supplements. We care about the new programs that have been put in place, child care for young families starting out, dental care.
Dental care, interesting. He doesn't mention that a lot of dentists won't take that plan. Not a comment about that.
1.5 million Canadians have access to that. These are people who can't afford proper dental care. Free school meals for children who don't get it. We care about that. We care about building the future, building a sustainable future. We need a strong economy in order to do that.
We need a strong leader, and you are not him.
You know, if I go back to when I used to come through Kelowna as a kid, I benefited from what my parents and grandparents built. Nelson, BC, my father was born. It's not bad, Nelson, right? There's no rivalry here. You've won the rivalry. But what they built over the years, my grandfather came from Ireland, lived in BC his whole life, helped build that. We built it through our communities. We have a responsibility. I feel that responsibility personally. I know you're all here because you feel it as well. To make the greatest country in the world even better. This is our time. This is our moment. Thank you for your support. Let's build together. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Carney giving you a bunch of reasons not to vote for him. No, that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you could, hit that like button. Please consider subscribing, and have a great day.